In a quiet little village, hidden beyond rolling hills and fields of green, there lived a young girl named Alexia. She was kind at heart, gentle in spirit, yet her days were filled with endless labor. Each night after her chores were done, she would retreat to the only place that offered her comfort, the fireplace in her stepmother's cottage. There, in the flickering glow of the flames, Alexia would sit with her arms wrapped around her knees, her clothes torn and stained from scrubbing floors, her hands rough from work. Ash clung to her face. But while her body was weary, her eyes told another story. They shone with a quiet strength, a spark of dreams that no cruelty could extinguish. For in those quiet moments, as the fire crackled and shadows danced on the walls, Alexia dared to imagine a life beyond the ashes. A life where she was more than a servant. Morning light spilled through the small cottage windows, but for Alexia, on her knees she scrubbed the wooden floor until her hands were raw, her torn dress brushing against the dirt. Behind her, her two stepsisters, draped in fine gowns of silk, mocked her as though she were little more than a shadow. One twirled a ribbon, the other polished her shoes, while they sneered at the girl on the floor. Their mother watched with a twisted smile. She leaned close to Alexia and hissed the words that burned deeper than any wound. "You are a scum," for she hated the girl with all her heart. The sisters laughed louder, their cruel voices echoing, while Alexia bowed her head in silence. She swallowed her tears, hiding the small spark of afternoon. The village square came alive with music and cheer. Merchants closed their stalls. Children ran through the cobblestone streets, and every eye turned toward the sound of hooves upon stone. Riding a white stallion cloaked in royal blue was the young prince himself. His presence commanded silence, and when he spoke, his voice carried across the square. By decree of the king, he announced, a grand masquerade ball shall be held at the palace. All citizens from every corner of the kingdom are welcome to attend. The crowd erupted with joy, clapping and cheering at the thought of dancing beneath chandeliers. She stepped closer, her voice trembling yet filled with hope. She asked her mother that, "May I go, mother? Please, may I go to the ball?" she asked softly, her eyes shining with longing. For a moment the room was silent, then her stepmother's lips curled into a cruel smile. The woman's laughter was sharp, cutting deeper than any blade. "You," she sneered, "a servant at the palace, do not dream above your station. The only place you belong is on your knees scrubbing floors." Her sisters erupted with laughter, mocking her as they spun in their finery. Alexia lowered her gaze, her dream crushed, but deep within her heart, a small spark refused to die. The laughter of her stepmother and sisters faded into the distance, leaving Alexia alone with her sorrow. She sat before the dying fireplace, her knees drawn close, the flickering flames painting her face in shades of gold and shadow. In her trembling hands, she held the only treasure she had left, her late mother's necklace, a simple silver charm worn thin with age. Hot tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered into the silence. The fire crackled softly, as if trying to answer her grief. Though her spirit felt broken, the necklace glowed faintly in the firelight, quietly reminding her that her story was not yet over. As Alexia wept beside the fireplace, the air around her began to shift. The flames flickered brighter, and the room grew warm with an otherworldly glow. From the embers, a soft voice rose, gentle, kind, and filled with love. Alexia lifted her tear-stained face, and before her appeared a radiant spirit, draped in shimmering light. "Child of sorrow," the spirit whispered, "you are a girl with pure heart." With a graceful sweep of her hand, the spirit of midnight silk, embroidered with tiny silver stars that seemed to sparkle with life. In her hands appeared not glass slippers, but delicate sandals of woven. For the first time, Alexia's tears turned into a smile. She dared to believe her fate might change. Spirit raised her hand, and suddenly the room came alive with light. Sparks drifted from the fireplace, swirling like fireflies around Alexia. wrapping her in a cloak of brilliance. Her ragged dress unraveled into streams of silk, deep as midnight and scattered with tiny glowing stars. The ashes on her hands faded, replaced by gloves, as soft as moonlight, around her neck. Her mother's necklace gleamed brighter. On her feet appeared sandals unlike any in the kingdom. Alexia gasped, her reflection caught in the window, no longer the servant girl in rags, but a vision of grace and strength. For the first time, she saw herself not as her stepmother named her, but as who she truly was, a daughter of light ready to step into destiny. Music slowed and the prince stepped forward, parting the crowd with every stride. His eyes never left Alexia's, his expression a mix of curiosity and awe. The whole room was shocked but seeing the bride and the prince, but they wasn't able to do anything. The prince and princess both were deeply in each other's eyes. When he reached her, he bowed deeply and extended his hand. She placed her hand in his, and together they moved onto the polished floor. "May I have this dance?" he asked, his voice steady yet gentle. Alexia hesitated, her breath caught in her throat. For a fleeting moment, she remembered the cruel words of her stepmother. The violins swelled, and as they began to dance, the laughter of her sisters, but the warmth in the prince's eyes silenced all doubt. The world around them seemed to vanish. There was only Alexia, the prince, and the rhythm of a dream taking flight. While Alexia danced beneath the glow of chandeliers, her laughter soft and unguarded, 3 pairs of eyes burned from across the hall. Her stepmother sat rigid, her jeweled fan clutched tight in her hand. The stepsisters whispered furiously, unable to hide their envy. They had dressed in their finest silks, yet the prince had not spared them a single glance. "Who is she?" one hissed, her lips curled in scorn. "She dares steal the prince's gaze." The stepmother's eyes narrowed, sharp as a blade. She studied the mysterious girl, a flicker of recognition tugging at her mind. Alexia froze, the spirit's warning burning in her memory. The magic would not last beyond this hour. Panic surged in her chest. She pulled away from the prince's grasp, her gown glittering like a falling star as she darted through the crowd. Guests gasped, turning their heads as the mysterious beauty fled across the marble floor. "Wait," the prince called after her, but she was already racing down the grand staircase, her sandals flashing in the moonlight. One crystal-light sandal slipped from her foot, tumbling onto the steps, but Alexia did not stop. She vanished into the night, her heart pounding with fear and wonder. As the last bell struck 12, by the time the prince reached the courtyard, there was nothing left but silence, but there was something that was creating a light of hope. The prince gathered everyone and made an announcement. The silver necklace Alexia had worn in the other. His voice cut through the murmurs of the court, firm and unyielding. "Find her, take this necklace, search every street, every home, every corner of the city. The one who wears this belongs to me, and I will not rest until she is found." At last, the soldiers arrived at Alexia's house, the silver necklace gleaming in their hands. One by one, the stepsisters stepped forward, their smiles painted with grade. The first draped the necklace around her neck, yet its glow dimmed. Fading like a dying flame, the second tried. But again the light flickered weak, refusing her. The stepmother's eyes narrowed, her heart twisting with jealousy. But the moment Alexia touched the necklace, it turned out to be glowing like sun and sparkling like stars. Everyone was in a big shock seeing that. How can she be? Including her stepmother, stepsisters, and all the other people standing there. Everyone was staring at Alexia with strange eyes. But she stood strong and brave, saying that let's end it being a coward girl. After the truth revealed, the prince immediately kneeled towards the princess. "Will you marry me?" he asked. The princess blushed and agreed. "Yes, I will marry you," she said. They got married and became the most favorite couple in all over the kingdom. And they lived happily ever after.